Hey there, Prep Plant Girl here. Today I'm going to be starting my hot peppers from seed indoors in my grow space. I am 12 weeks before my average last frost date. You certainly don't need to start your hot peppers that early. If you don't have a lot of space to be starting plants, or you're, going to be away on holidays or something, you can certainly wait a little bit more time if you like. The recommendation for hot peppers is usually around 8 weeks before your average last frost to get them started. I prefer to start mine a little bit earlier because they can take a little bit longer to break dormancy, and that's with the hot peppers, especially with these. I think all of these are seed from previous years, and the longer seed sits, the longer it can take to break dormancy. And so I just like to start them just that little bit earlier, and I have lots of space to grow these plants on and have large plants inside and take care of them before it's safe to put them outside. And so I'm comfortable doing that. If you're not in that same situation, then just start them later, or do a little germination testing or something if you want, just to do that. See if mine don't break dormancy for me. I can start them again later and still have lots of time. But I have a very short growing season here. I'm in Saskatchewan, Canada. I have about 110 frost-free days to grow my plants outside. And so I want to have nice, big, mature plants by the time they go out and they're almost ready to be producing. If not, sometimes I have flowers and even peppers on them inside, and that's just fine. So that's what I'm doing today, is starting my hot peppers. I will save my sweet peppers. I find they don't take as much time to get going and get growing and produce nice big plants. So I will save those for a few more weeks yet. When I'm starting my peppers, I like to get a fairly large pot. I don't know how well this is showing up with my shirt. It looks like it doesn't really, there, maybe that kind of shows the size of the container. So this is a 6-pack, and they're several inches deep, probably about almost 3 or 4, and about 3 across, 2 across that way, maybe 1.5. So they're a good size tray. They're not your standard like seed tray. And that's because peppers, they will be growing for a long time, and I would like to leave them in these trays as long as I can before I have to bump them up. And they'll be fine in these, and I'm not starting a lot. So I'll start 3 cells of each variety, and I'm starting 4 varieties. So I have jalapeno peppers, and I have 2 types of jalapenos. This one here is from Mackenzie Seeds, and it's just labeled as jalapeno mild. And I really like this. You will have seen in many videos if you've watched over the years. I've grown these, and they are a very mild, just nice jalapeno flavor. And once in a while you'll get one that has a little bit of heat, but for the most part they are a nice mild jalapeno. And then I have Monet. I've been growing this for the last couple of years. It is a little bit hotter, but it's still a jalapeno. And again, just one that I like to have. Then I have Pathfinder, and this is a Serrano that I grew for the first time last year. It's a long, skinny pepper that turns red. It is the kind of pepper that for me personally is great for adding in just like 1 or even half a pepper into some dishes, or throwing into a salsa or something, just to give that added heat kick that has a nice flavor as well as not just heat. And then I have my Hungarian hot wax, and I really like to pickle my hot wax peppers. I really like how well the Hungarian hot wax produces for me here. And I just think it's a nice all-around pepper. When these peppers are young, I eat them fresh from the plant, the Hungarian hot wax. I just eat them straight raw. But as they develop longer on the plant, they will develop more heat, so you have to be more careful when you're doing that. To start my peppers, I'm just going to fill some trays with soil, and I'll leave them about this much, I don't know, 1/2 inch, a centimeter or so from the top. I'll leave the soil down a little bit just so I have a bit of room on top. And then I'll just be, once I have them all planted, I'll just be setting the trays into a watertight container, and I have a humidity dome to go on top. This one, yeah, that one should work until they germinate. You might need a taller one sometimes, but I think this should work. And then peppers, especially the hot peppers, are something that I use a heat mat for. So I have a heat mat plugged in here behind me, getting ready. And there is lights on this shelf right now that are turned on that they'll go under, but they're only on to support these other plants at this time. The peppers don't need the light until they have germinated. Once they've germinated, you will need the light. And once they've germinated, I'll also remove the cover. So lots of times people want to know when to remove that humidity dome. That's just once I have about 80% of germination on my seeds, that's when I remove my humidity dome. I also keep a fan going in this room, so when the seedlings are very young, I'll try to make sure that fan is not directed anywhere near my seedlings, which up high enough on the shelf, they should be fine. And then as the plants get a little bit taller, you know, into their third true leaf stage, then I will make sure that there's a little bit of more air movement around them, and that just makes stronger, healthier plants and keeps excess moisture off the leaves and that to help them to grow better. I personally prefer to water my plants and seedlings from below, but until they develop a nice strong root system, I usually use a spray bottle and just spray the top little bit of soil as they're getting germinated and just in that very young seedling stage. And then after that, I water them from below. And I like to let the soil dry out, not get like completely dry, but to get to a little bit dried out before I water them. And that just, I think, encourages the roots to go down, searching for that water, and makes a good, strong root system. If they're always being babied and watered all the time, you're going to have a weaker plant, and you're also going to have more chance of having things like fungus gnats or disease in your plants. So that's just the basic seed starting kind of run through. Now I'm just going to get my seeds planted. So trays filled, seeds in the soil, tags in and on this heat mat, and it won't take very long. So let's get this done. So this is my seed starting mix. Generally I just use a peat moss. This time I've got my hands on a grower's mix, which is basically just peat moss with some perlite added in. And then I just add about 3 parts of the grower's mix or peat moss to 1 part of medium vermiculite and 1 part of perlite. And I don't worry too much that there was already a little bit of perlite in the grower's mix. And then it's just damp. These are really deep trays, and for the first little while I'm just going to be needing them damp on top where the seeds are sitting until they germinate. So I'm not really worried about having it soaked all the way through, but I want it damp enough that it's not going to steal the moisture from the top layer. So just give it a little tamp, just have some room, and just make sure there's no air pockets in there. Fill these couple up just a hair more. And that's all that I need to do, so I'll just fill my other one. I should have just enough mix here. These filled up. Now, if you're not using just regular seed mix, if you're making your own like myself, you might find larger chunks of like peat moss, or if you're using coconut coir, you can have that as well, or large sticks, or even occasionally a stone or something. So just pull those out so that they're not in the way of the seed trying to push through the soil. So we'll get this out of the way. We're left with our seed trays. And before I forget, I better make some labels here. So like I said, I'm going to do 3 cells of each, and I'm going to put a couple of seeds in each cell. And peppers don't need to be super deep. You're looking for just a few millimeters or like 1/4 of an inch. Oops, I'm trying to put 2 in each, in opposite corners in each cell, and that way I should get about 6 plants. I won't probably use all 6 plants, but I always like, especially when using older pepper seeds, to get just a couple extra, and I can always find someone who will want to grow them in their own garden if I have too many. All right, so I just went through, I put all my seeds in and I've covered them up with about that couple millimeters, 1/4 inch of soil mix here. Took out any large sticks or, like here's another one, sticks or large chunks of peat moss that would be in the way for the seeds pushing through. And now these are just ready to go. I do like to go over top and put a little layer of vermiculite. It seems to help just kind of hold the moisture at the top level of the soil while the seeds are germinating, and also absorb extra moisture, which helps to keep down the presence of things like fungus gnats. So that to me just works well. You don't have to do the vermiculite. That's just what I do. Now I'm just gonna go through, like I said, the soil was just damp, just barely damp. But I'm gonna make sure it's a little more wet at the top surface here where the seeds need to germinate. And I'll just make sure that it's staying damp on top there while I'm waiting for the seeds to germinate. Having that humidity dome on should help to keep the surface damp so that I don't need to keep coming in and watering them. So like I said, now I'm just going to set them on in this tray that has the heat mat underneath. I have it turned on, it's nice and warm. Put the lid on and they'll just stay like that. Again, once I have germination, the heat mat will get turned off as well. So I don't use the humidity dome or the heat mat after the seeds have germinated, and I wait again for about 80% germination, and that's what works well for me. So hopefully this inspired you to go find some hot peppers that you've been wanting to try, get them planted up, and get them started indoors so you have some nice hot peppers to cook and enjoy and pickle, whatever you like to do with them in the summer season. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.